Hello, guys. My audio... There we go. Game came in really loud for me this time. So, yeah! Originally, my plan today was to go for Winona, but a couple things made me decide not to. Thing number one, the water routes to the south. I have yet to do anything in these water routes, and if you don't do them now, you're missing out on so much. I actually know the rest of the lyrics of that song, but I don't feel like singing right now, Zero. I did watch all of the Pokemon anime. At least through Gen 4. Gen 5 onwards, I fell off a little bit. And then, the other reason we're not going for Winona tonight is because this stream is a glorified Legend ZA waiting room for the United States-based people. My goal is to be done around 9 p.m., where I can go pick up my Switch and play some Legend ZA off stream. So, you know what I should buy that I don't think I have on me right now? I should go buy some repels. I'm not going to use them immediately, but something tells me surfing the oceans is going to get real old really quickly. We'll buy 20. Is that a lot of money to be spending? Probably. Am I going to regret it? Probably come when I have to buy medicine for the league. Probably. But who cares? Who cares? Since it's something we can talk... Oh yeah, I should catch you guys up on what happened last time. Since last time. So, Sieg is now level 30. Once again, Blissey trained. Using the action replay codes, or the Game Shark codes. Aeron is Aeron still. Pelipper, Verb is Verb still. Artoria is now a Gardevoir. This happened off screen. I posted this on Discord when it happened. And yeah, Gecko is still a Grovyle. As far as anything else that happened, not really. I fought some of the trainers in some of the later routes, but... Or not some of the later routes, some of the... Like this little side alcove area that I wasn't really planning on going back to on stream. Those leaks... Oh, those leaks. The next 10 years, or the next half a decade of Pokemon leaked. Oh god, I'm gonna be too slow. Fuck. That's fine. Just let me run away next time, please. Fuck. That is one of the better EN intros. I'm a fan of a couple of the, there's a couple of the less popular ones that I actually am a fan of. What's unfortunate about getting Sieg this part is Sieg is going to be damn nearly useless for a minute, because Ground type is going to be awful in this area and the next. And Sieg does not have much going for him, other than that he's a Ground type. Like his attack type, his attacks are shit. Dark is a special attacker in this generation, so these are shit. Sieg is pretty much worthless till he evolves for us. So there's going to be a lot of switch train. Oh yeah, I also got Rocket to level 21, so Rocket can now actually randomly pick up rare candies. Orange Islands is a weird one where I remember the opening, but I haven't watched it enough, so I don't know how it begins. I remember how the middle goes. That's because Orange Islands is we all live in a Pokemon world. Do y'all want me to go over the leaks for Pokemon, or like chat about them? I don't know how, like, what you guys think. I don't want to go over them if y'all don't want to hear them, because I'm not shredding. I'm not worried about what'll happen with this stream, but I don't want to spoil anyone who doesn't want to be spoiled. Anyone not live obviously can tune out for a bit, but if you don't want to be spoiled, I don't want to spoil anyone live. I'll be honest, I probably should just remove, take Trapinch out of the front line of my party while I'm on the water, and then maybe put him back once I'm on the actual ghost ship, where I might be able to fight some poison ghost types. It's not a ghost ship, it's an advantage if there's like fighting trainers. Probably some double battles where Trapinch will gain the XP easier. Okay, so I'll think about it. I know I can't see, for some reason my concurrent viewers is not working. I know you're here, Tacos, and Zerhura has been active enough in chat where I'm pretty sure Zerhura is still here. But I don't know how many concurrent viewers I have. It's saying 0 when I still have, when I clearly see you guys chatting. So I don't know. What I can do though is we're gonna give Sieg the EXP share. Pretty much, he's gonna be living and breathing that EXP share for a while, because he's not gonna otherwise get any EXP out. Okay, Zerhura. So yeah, if you'd prefer not to be spoiled, I won't go over the leaks here. If anyone wants to talk about them, I don't know. We could do like a censored discussion in the Discord or something. But like, I don't want to go over the leaks on a. I don't like want to chit chat too much about the leaks on the stream. If there's people that haven't seen them and just necessarily want to see them. And I can't talk about those FGO. So, if you were in the Discord looking at the JP chat, you know that I managed to. That's fine, Zero. Yeah, if you're in the Discord and you saw the JP chat, you know that I pulled 2 copies of Kawakami Gensei after trying, like, for the last 2 weeks to pull Gensei. Because even I knew, going into this, the upcoming, or the current Grand Raid with Lacusta was a terrible idea. I like Lacusta. I'm not mad that I grailed her to one. She was already grailed to 90 before the Grand Raids ever got announced. Oh, that said, she's a very particular kind of servant that kind of needs something like a Castoria or any kind of supports to work. And Assassin is not a great class for supports. So, oh, is my voice a little low? Let me lower the game volume just a little bit then to Hawario. Let me know if that's too low or too high. This is... oh no, it's an island. A mystical rock. I'm gonna explore this island. In fairness, I actually really like Gensei's design and animations. But also, a good 90% of that reason is because I also really like Kagetora and Kenshin's design. And Gensei is just Kagetora and Kenshin, like, small. So it's like... It's like a nice, it's a nice middle ground. Also, I kind of needed a servant like Gensei for that account. I had no real good DPS assassins that were good out the gate or compatible quickly for like burst damage and mid turning. Lacusta's nice. I can make Lacusta really snowball, but Lacusta takes a minute to get going, which, especially after actually seeing what was going on with this Grand Raid, yeah, that really wasn't going to work out for me. Ptolemy's going to be my Grand Archer in JP. Not really. There's not a big lore reason why she looks like Kagetora. The big reason, I'm 90% sure the reason she looks like Kagetora is a roundabout Rurouni Kenshin reference. Because the main character of that anime, Kenshin, is directly based off of Gensai, actually. So you have Gensai you have a character based off Gensai given the name of Kenshin based off of Kenshin. So it's kind of just I'm 90% sure that's the entire reason she was given Kenshin's design. I could be wrong about that, but that feels I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. Yes, Burb knows Surf because I needed something stronger than Water Gun. Other generations, I might not have considered that, though. If this were the Gen 6 remakes, by Gen 6, Surf hits both members on your team. And the amount of double battles in Gen 3 and in Hoenn really disincentivizes playing it like that. So, if this were Gen 6 for Oras, I would not have done that. But here, yeah, it's... Burb is just the best one for Surf for the moment. And I couldn't with that Water Gun attack. And it's not like Burb's going to be that long for the team anyways. I do still plan to replace Burb. I'm throwing around who I'm replacing Burb with, but I have an idea. Well, first off, Burb is getting replaced with Will for Water type. Flying type, I'm probably just going to teach Flygon Fly once I get a Flygon. But as far as the 6th Pokemon on my team, because that still leaves one slot, I've got an idea, and if chat wants me to use someone in particular, I'll do that for them instead. But like, I've got an idea of what to do if no one has any fun suggestions. And fun suggestion does not mean make me use Sunkern. I don't think Sunkern's in this game. Anyways, but that does not what I mean by fun suggestion. Okay, let's see if there's an item on this island. Okay, this guy is the guy. A mythical rock. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this guy is just wrong. I don't think there's any items on that island. Oh, he's so cool. I really like I think it's fine to say it. I'm not gonna hold back saying it here. I really do like Azrael. I like because there's no lore around it. I don't know what there is to spoil. It's just a gameplay boss at this point. And then there's some potential connections with King of Song, though nothing made explicitly clear. That's pretty much it for him. I like it. I really, really, really like that we got like just this crazy new servant. I'd be curious to see them actually do something with him in a story though. But I am kind of glad that it mixed things up a bit, because I think we were all getting used to the same, like just a servant appearing in an event and then becoming Grand Raid right after the event. I'm glad they didn't do that again with, say, Gensei or something. As for the actual fight itself, I'm a bit mixed. I think it's one of the roughest Grand Raids to start. Like, I don't think there's a lot of accidentally beating some of the hardest difficulties with a thrown together team, and it's not an easy raid to make work. He definitely has a lot less HP than some other Grand Raids, and he doesn't hit nearly as hard. But also, you're dealing with assassins with a lower damage output, and the actual the raid itself has just a few too many, like, odd mechanics here that really only work once you've actually got all the grand skills unlocked, like the grand score. Because there's two things happening here with this raid that are going to trip people up. The first one is definitely the nastiest one, which is on the initial fight, and I'm probably in the final fight as well. Every round that he's not stunned, charmed, skill sealed, or I think it is stun, charm, skill sealed. I think that's it. Stun, charm, and skill sealed. If those aren't afflicted on him, he is going to drop his. Basically, it's a secondary, like, it's kind of like another Noble Phantasm. It's just an insta-kill on a random servant. If your servant has good insta-kill resist, you can actually get out of it. I had a Koyanskaya survive it at one point. But, like insta-kill usually is on the player, it's busted against the player. So, you're going to get hit by it. You're losing a servant on your front line. It creates this massive RNG component that really screws you over playing blind. Obviously, you're building up to those fights, so, like, you can. By the end, ideally, you are doing a little bit better against that. But initially, it's going to mess you up. And then the other mechanic that they have after that one is it's guts. It's basically a special guts that cannot be removed, and yeah. But there is a way to remove it, but there's also a way to stop the instant death. Well, no, the instant death actually isn't stopped. The instant death you could buy. I think you get instant death resist up on your Grand Servant, but for I'm pretty sure your Grand Servant gets a passive instant death using certain. If it gets I don't know. I think it gets passive instant death or something like that. Because once I've got or it has a chance of nullifying that guts. Either way, if you inflict instant death on the enemy, that enemy, or if you inflict instant death on Azrael will lose his guts. So once you have the grand score fully unlocked and you've got all pieces of it, it's a lot easier of a fight. I've been able to consistently 1 to 2 round it, but earlier on it's annoying because he does resist things. The only thing that I've had that hasn't been resistible by him was Plug Suits. It was Plug Suits swap out. Yeah, Plug Suit swap, or not swap out. Plug Suit's Gondor. The Gondor on Plug Suit was able to. It never misses. But everything else, you're not so lucky. With everything else, I'd say I hit him about 60% of the time with everything else. I've got 2 other ways of getting him right now. The first way is on Gensai. Gensai's third skill inflicts skill seal on the enemy for 1 round. I've been using that, and when that doesn't work, I swap out to Akashin Koji, who has her bind, which works for a stun. They're technically different, but they're effectively the same. So I use bind on the enemy using Akashin Koji, and that can also seal him. And then if both those fail, I stun him. And then that only gets me 1 round. In times where it goes to 2 rounds, that's where things get dangerous, because that's where RNG hits. Usually, though, using double Koyon and using I gave Gensai a pen 5 because she has really low cooldowns. It's actually really nice at Koyon. I can get skill 3 back up on round 2 using that, which allows me to go a second round of roll with a skill seal. So basically, I have to get really, really unlucky. There's just no new Pokemon this version. I have to get really, really unlucky for it to for me to actually start feeling it mid-fight. Did I already? Okay, apparently I've explored this entire route already. Maybe there's something I missed over there, but not worth really sticking around for. Kill him before he kills you as soon as possible, so you build a team around Charm or Stun. Yep. And to my understanding, Charm is really hard to hit on him. Like, people thought he was Charm immune for a bit and were mad that they screwed over Kama. That's how high his Charm resist is. Yeah, apparently you have to like use him with something like Kotaro to reduce his debuff resist. So you're better off building. At least I feel like Stun and Skill Seal have had about a 60% chance success rate. So that's kind of what you're looking at there. It's not impossible. It's not easy. Earlier on, I think and that's just because I'm using Gensei. Gensei is one of the best servants for that fight because she has anti-divinity and skill seal on her. I don't really know who else would be good for that fight. I've seen Gensei being thrown around a lot. I haven't seen the other, like, how other assassins were working around. 2 times Tezuka and Shiki work? Neither of the Shikis have skill seals, stun, or charm. Does Tezuka have any of those? Because that's what you do want at least 1 round. If you can't 1 round it, you need at least 2 rounds of that. And like even with Gensei, who was probably one of the best damage outputs for this fight, you're not 1 rounding it. At least at NP2 level 100. This might change as you start getting to NP5 120s, but the NP5 120s are outliers. You're not always going to have access to those. Ugh. Okay, I guess Gecko's coming back out. Gecko's really my only response to Sharpedo. There's a couple tricky type combinations in this particular game that are going to fuck me over. Like, I know Carvana is dangerous for me. Beyond Carvana, Skarmory is particularly dangerous, which is another reason why we're not going all the way to Winona today. Because Winona has a Skarmory on top of her Altaria. I've actually got the thumbnail for next week's stream already made because that was going to be this week's stream. Probably really thought about it for a second. So, yeah, don't expect to see a lot of don't expect me to have a very easy time with Winona. A rebuff that reduces instant death resist. Interesting. There are ways, to my understanding, you can use, if you want to, you can use instant death tactics other than the one built into the Grand Servants. So, if you, like, King Asan, that fight is ridiculously easy for King Asan. I'm sure the same is probably true for Shiki. Not necessarily on Shiki, but it's easier on Shiki thanks to Shiki hitting instant death. So you just need to worry about the. All you need to worry about is the. What is it? God, I'm blanking. I'm blanking. I've only harped on it 50 times, like in the last 2 minutes. gosh, what was it? Not the instant death. Oh yeah, him hitting instant death on you. Yes, King Hassan's also immune to instant death. So as long as you get your Koyan buffs on King Hassan round 1, you're good. It is not hard to work around that fight with King Hassan. King Hassan is the best defensive servant for that fight, probably. And he is going to ignore the gimmicks. His damage output's just not going to be quite as there. You might take more than one round. Okay, C can have the EXP share removed now. I'm going to take the EXP share off Seek for a bit so I can actually level everyone else. Artoria, high-key my strongest Pokemon right now, by the way. Artoria with Calm Mind plus Psychic sweeps. Actually, Artoria with Calm Mind plus another move is going to be another one of our goals for today. Outside of just going to the abandoned ship, my other goal for today is New Mauville. We're going to do New Mauville. It's a pretty short dungeon, so I'm not that worried about it. But... okay, Mecha Ellie's going to have some trouble on the ocean, but I'm not as worried, because at the very least I can still deal damage. This, because Mecha Ellie's Iron Tail is carrying Mecha Ellie. He just runs out of HP. Yeah, he just walks away casually. I haven't looked at his final defeat animation, because the final defeat animation is always different. Like when you do the final fight. I haven't seen the final fight yet. I'm sure the final fight's gonna make me rage. But, everything else, like, it's a cool fight. I'll give it that. It's a cool fight. Draco. I used Himiko on the last, for my all slot for the Grailfront. I did play the Grailfront too. I was playing that during Seki's stream, actually. And I've really enjoyed it. So far I like the vibe. I don't feel like we have a lot of a good story we don't have a great story going yet, but the vibe of the story is nice. And the actual gameplay, I love this Grailfront's gameplay. I played it in JP as well. The map design on this Grailfront is just significantly stronger than any... not no stronger on any previous one, but it's got a better loop to it. It's got a better flow to it. I don't feel like... it's not got the problems of the early Grailfronts where the best strategy was to just use your servant to disorient the other servants and go punch out Moonier. It doesn't have the same problem as the other recent Grailfront, the BB Grailfront, where everything was just too hard. It felt like it was there just to fuck you up. I might need to go stop by Slateport before doing before doing the abandoned ship. Herc and Draco are great for Grailfronts, yes. Yeah. Dohawario, I'm sorry. At least you don't play JP and have to do the Assassin Raid as well. That's kind of the boat I'm in right now with FGO, is I'm doing both events at the same time. I'm trying to speedrun the Assassin Raid. I've already managed to get to Bond 8 with Gensai, and I've unlocked everything on the Assassin score, but... The unfortunate part is I can't put a lot of time into the early parts of the Grailfront outside of keeping up with the story. And of course, to top it all off, I'm playing Pokemon tonight, and ideally I have some time to play tomorrow. I don't know. I've got to be actually preparing for a job interview coming up, so. And yes, it is a little bit high-key funny that Seki and I are both doing job interviews at around the exact same time. This is not intentional. I do have a full-time job. It's just a coincidence. Bam! Since the release of Draco, and she's probably the best servant for that mode. She's really good for that mode. I'm mad that we haven't had more Grailfronts since the one... like, this is the last Grailfront in NA right now. I thought they, like, finally got the formula right, and they just haven't done a single one. Like, I need them to bring back Grailfront. I'm kind of hoping... And I saw Plushie talking about this in a video he put out a couple months back. I'm kind of hoping grail fronts are the future of FGO. Like, that when we move into future parts of FGO or future FGO content, we get a lot more grail front, or we use the grail front engine to make more interesting and varied gameplay of mechanics and objectives. Even if it's not always like the grail front, you see it a little bit in this grail front. Like, they literally had a Fire Emblem escape map. They've got Fire Emblem capture the point maps in this grail front. The end of this grail front is going to culminate in a big fuck you boss fight. It's very, like, I think it works surprisingly well when they actually put effort into their map design and actually put effort into these fights. I think it could work really well to have, like, story fights or story sections that are done in grail front. They can even still do story mid-fight. They were doing it. They've been doing it in this grail front. There's just parts where occasionally the characters will start talking. It's a good substitute for those long stretches of we're in a fight. Like, there's a couple of moments in Tron that would have been great as little mini, like short grail fronts. There was a tower event a couple months ago in NA, wasn't there? I don't know. I'm not that mad about that one. I actually really don't like playing tower events. Are you gonna kill Burb? Yeah, you just killed Burb. I'm sad. Pull out C, so you could actually do a little bit of this fight here. I am not about to get swept by a main trick and a win. The more servants are added, so I decided to stop with how long the last one. Yeah, I can't with tower events. It's so tedious. I've never been a fan. A tower event was the first event I didn't complete after joining FGO. Not necessarily counting. I need to switch out. Not necessarily counting. I may have skipped out on my first summer that I was in, but then I played the rerun. There's at least 2 tower events I haven't finished. Because I start playing and I'm just like, dear God, it's the same, like, oh, I hit this servant with this attack that barely, or I use like my worst servants early on, and if I want to play longer stretches, I can use my best servants there. I don't like tower events. They just get on my nerves. The first tower event was the first event I never finished. I couldn't even do it there. I think another part that makes the tower events annoying is that you have to remake you're remaking your team every single time, because you're not able to, like with other events. Oh, I want to keep playing. I'm farming this event. Same team. Or you have your like Seki has her basic hit it till it dies team for easier story nodes. You don't get that with tower events. You do have to actually think about the team, or not think about it. You have to like switch your team out every single time you enter a new fight. So because it's so much more tedious to do that, I just don't feel like working on that forward progression as often. And it's the type of event that punishes you if you're not making consistent forward progression, especially if you have a newer account. Oh, I greatly prefer Grail Fronts, but I also just find the Grail Front gameplay a lot more interesting than because tower events are just, it's still FGO. Tower events are just the same FGO mechanics, just made more tedious. Grail Fronts have their problems, but it's a different, and it could entirely be, I just prefer the, I don't want to say more tactical gameplay of Grail Fronts, because I'm not going to lie, none of the Grail Fronts have been particularly hard, but I enjoy the way it makes you think a little bit differently than when you're playing the rest of FGO. It also doesn't get rid of your ability to use servants after you've used them, at least after you've only used them once. Because that's especially annoying, especially on newer accounts. Buff out of your lower units with your maxed out CEs. I mean, you do that in, that's exactly how you're supposed to play Grail Front as well. You're supposed to use lower rarity servants with good CEs, or use higher or better servants with no CEs. That's how you're supposed to play Grail Front. You can't just drop Black Grail and Kaleidoscope on your best 5-star maxed out servant. That's why servants on Grail Fronts that aren't normally good suddenly become good. Like, it's fair if you don't find the game mode fun, but it is a little, and I do see the parallels between it and Tower, but it is, the differences are not insubstantial. Like, it is true that I can't necessarily put a, it's not necessarily sabotage. I've made 1 and 2 stars work. Gareth, for example. Gareth I've got really good success with on Grail Fronts. There are not, like, obviously there are 1 and 2 stars that are absolutely gimped. But there are some really good 1 and 2 stars that I do think get to shine in Grail Fronts pretty well, actually. And the point isn't to use good CE. The point of the Grail, like, I do agree that the party cost limit on Grail Fronts could be a little bit more liberal, because it does feel like you can't. Like, I'd like to have at least 1 good CE on 1 servant, but I do like that it doesn't necessarily let you just waltz in there with a Ibuki or a Castoria Zerker and, oh look, I've got a Black Grail on her, so I can, within a fight or two, just sweep everything. The other thing is, you don't have to use all 1 and 2 stars. I've gotten a good CE on a servant using, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll balance out. If I'm using a 5-star, sometimes I do use my lower rarity, like my real low rarity servants as backup. I have a friend who plays FGO, and I don't know exactly how this works, but I kind of know what they're doing here. They sneak, basically, they do what people are kind of joking about doing in the Grand Raid right now for Assassin, where you sneak Jekyll and Hyde into the Assassin slot so that you have a Berserker out there. Jekyll and Hyde still ain't worth shit, but you can do some fun stuff in Grail Fronts. Look, I agree, they could probably make the maps more open. we've only had how many Grailfront events? I do think they could make it a little. They could do a little bit more to make the Grailfronts more open. Yeah. The other different, like, if you want the big reason why I glaze Grailfronts way more than I glaze tower events, it's that I've played most of the tower events. I've actually finished two. I think we've had 4 tower events now, if I'm not wrong. I've finished 2 of them, and I've played all of the Grailfronts, finished all of those, and I've at least played or at least made an attempt at all the tower events. I don't feel like the tower events have had any substantial, like, changes or improvements. I do feel like the Grailfronts have steadily improved. The only one that I thought wasn't that much of an improvement was the Merlin one. The Camelot one. The Camelot one I didn't think was that much of an improvement over the Skahawk one, and the Skahawk one was actually pretty good. But oh hey, Mecha Ellie's evolving. Finally. But the BB one, although it got a little obnoxious at times, the BB one did a lot more to make the difficulty more entertaining if you enjoy that kind of thing. They at least tried to address the fact that the previous Grailfronts were piss easy. And I thought, having played the Ptolemy one in both JP and now playing it in NA, I think the Ptolemy one hits a lot more of a sweet spot. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's also not, like, laughably easy. Especially not some of the later maps. There were definitely not that many tower events, Tacos. I'm 99% sure that there were not that many tower events. There was the initial Ibaraki shooting one. There's Pagoda, the Demon Pagoda one. I don't remember the exact. I don't remember. I didn't finish that one, so I don't know what the full story was. I think I even skipped the cutscenes on that one. Then there was the. I played the next 2. Akihabara was number 3. What was number 2? Oh, Amazonas. It was Pagoda, Amazonas, Akihabara, and then the most recent one, the Mystic Eye Symphony. I don't remember there being any more than that. Well, Grailfronts, yeah, they both need improvements. I think the tower event is, like, one of the worst event types in FGO. Like, if they had improved tower events, I'd probably be a lot better about glazing. I'd glaze tower events more. Tower events suck. Yeah, okay, so I am right with the 4 tower events. Nope, Pagoda was the first tower event. You might be mistaking it for the Dantes tower, which was not the same thing. The Dantes tower was not our tower format. The Dantes tower was it was closer to like the pit in the Seraph event rerun with King Protea, where it was just a series of tough fights with light story elements connecting it. Although the Dantes event actually had tried to have story. I wouldn't mind them bringing back a challenge gauntlet, like a challenge not like that, because I do feel like that could be kind of fun, like a daily challenge quest with a light story connecting it. I feel like we haven't had one of those in a hot minute, and I don't hate that style. Just so long, yeah, I don't hate that style. Nope, the first Valentine's was actually a pretty damn basic ass. Because I played the first Valentine's story beginning to end because they reran that first Valentine's for and for 2 years, like for the year 2 they reran Valentine's 1. That's why the Valentine's Servant is MHXA, but for year 2, but there's no MHXA event. They just had a trial quest. the first Valentine's was pretty much it is what it can get. It was a very, very minimal story, sort of like a lot of our previous events, and just grinding nodes to farm out an in-game shop as well as the chocolates. Yeah, there was also the Ibaraki. The Ibaraki shooting raid event was its own separate type of event, which is just a... I feel like raid event... I kind of wish they'd go back to a more accessible raid event. Because right now, to play raid events, you have to basically play another full event before it, which people can get caught behind. I guess, no, we kind of had that. We kind of had that with the Noah event. They didn't have a lot of time gates on that Noah event, and the final raid was there. It just had a very, very weird, awkward time when we're about to... Oh, shit, it's one of the Pokemon I have nothing to counter. Some crossover besides the BB one. Yeah, I don't have an electric Pokemon right now. I have plans on how to kind of rectify that, but it ain't great. So Skarmory is kind of my worst nightmare at the moment. I get what Dakota Doyle's saying though with it being kind of impossible for early accounts, because it's not that it's a difficulty thing. I do think the difficulty of tower events is never the issue. Tower events are... I've never had a single problem with a single fight in a tower event. It's... If you're on a newer account, you basically need to wait out... Like, those timers, the timer gimmick on a tower event is significantly more punishing. To the point where you'll be lucky if you make it to the end of the... Like, you have to play consistently and on the game schedule to complete even the main story before you get to the... Usually, like, there's a bonus tower after the main story's over. I don't even know if that's true, because I remember Akihabara, they didn't have the bonus tower. It's just a really long main story. But I could be wrong about that one. So... It's just a weird scenario if you're a newer player, because the reason why I probably agree a lot with that take on it being impossible for new players, because that's why I fell off of the first tower event. The first tower event, which is possibly the best received one by the community. I started playing FGO maybe a year before that event, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on the timing of that. I started right before the first summer event, if I remember right. I think Excel Zero might have just been finishing up or something like that. And that first tower event, I just couldn't play. I couldn't finish it. I used a guide to know how long it was, and I tried to play at it. But because I had college and work and my servant account, if you remember how I talk about how lackluster my servant account was while trying to catch up on story, was pretty shit. It meant that I just was not making any progress on that event, and you basically get hardwalled unless you dedicate all your time. Unless you have to basically set alarms and wake up when the game wants. Wake up and sleep around it. It's ridiculous on a new account. Like Seki probably couldn't do a tower event. No, I mean year 2 or 3 was when the first tower event was. I'm pretty sure, but they did one a year for a second, and then they took a long break between Akihabara and Mystic Eye Symphony. Because Akihabara was before Avalon LaFay, Mystic Eye Symphony just happened in JP. So the tower events haven't been around for a minute. Hang on, there's something going on in the chat I have with the club. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not worth sharing with the class. It's politics. In fact, I'm 99% sure they're talking about something that's probably fake. Dang it, Verb! Something new? No. Well, I don't think it should ever be only Grail fronts. The idea of putting in more Grail fronts into things like story would be to increase the gameplay variety, not become the gameplay. I still think like the typical FGO wave fights have their place, and things like Grail fronts or even the Ort raids, stuff like those, should be like sensitive to what's going on in the story. And I don't think it should be like I think wave clears should still be the primary means of farming and events. When I say Grail fronts are the future of FGO, I mean mostly in terms of story and challenge content, not in terms of farming or even moment-to-moment story. Like, this is big story events. Like, you could have parts that play out in Grail front. Basically, just different situations that would have different metas, so different servants get highlighted. Servants that maybe are better at wave clearing aren't as good in Grail fronts, but you have servants that excel in Grail fronts that maybe aren't as good as normal boss fights. And I also think that Grail fronts could be a little bit less stingy on how many CEs or what type of servants you could bring, because that's kind of the biggest problem with Grail fronts still. Like, I would never want to see Grail fronts become the only FGO mechanic. I also think that the engine of Grail fronts, there's more to say about the engine of Grail fronts than there is to say about the necessarily how they've used Grail fronts so far. There have been a few interesting, unique ways of using Grail fronts, but yeah, I won't get too far into it. I do think the engine for Grail fronts that they've been using has some potential to be mixed up in ways that don't necessarily resemble how Grail fronts currently play. Okay, I don't think there's any wild Pokemon here. It's all just ghost ship stuff, finding items and fighting trainers. Really, this is the rest of the stream, by the way. We've already cleared the ocean. We're just doing trainer fights in here now, and I'm going to try to get New Mauville done tonight as well before I leave. That are decently good. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's like the stinginess of Grail fronts. That's part of why they're a little bit more. That's probably why they're often easier. I don't know. I mean, Tacos, I get what you're saying there, but isn't there also kind of true? There's a lot of moments where the story realizes, oh wait, we've had a lot of just reading. Seki is getting bored. time to drop in a random fight with a literal... They do that sometimes. That's just... I don't think every fight in story needs to be a random grill front. Again, it's like key story moments would be well played as grill fronts. Because FGO has enough of those types of moments that would work as grill fronts, where it makes sense. You don't need to do every fight like that. Obviously, like, if you're just running into fights while traveling, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do random grill fronts. But, like, whenever they do big battles, and they do like to do big battles here and there, or if they're like, here's an example here of a way grill fronts could be used in a very interesting way. Let's pick a moment in part 1 where they needed to really fill out the gameplay time to build up to a major story revelation, but you couldn't just go from point A to point B because it would undervalue the area they're in. The Atlas Institute. You go from point A to point B, which is they enter the Atlas Institute and they go to the very back, and there's a lot of fights in between of, oh look, the defense mechanisms. Oh look, the defense mechanisms. Here's a tiny bit of lore on the Atlas Institute. Sprinkle that between a few fights. I remember Seki not particularly enjoying that bit of lore done there in Camelot. If you could condense that so the story's a little bit more condensed, and illustrate the Atlas Institute's scale and importance through gameplay as opposed to having to exposit it, and having, like, even if there is story in the gameplay, like the current grill front has a little bit of story elements, you could incorporate that a little bit better there. Like, you could make a dungeon system out of the grill front engine, and it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Yeah, no, I greatly prefer what we're doing now with what we were doing in part 1. Don't get me wrong, tacos. Seki is driven mad by long stretches of story. I'm not. Not even a little bit. But I do think it does help people that maybe don't hold on to the story as much to throw in something like that, or at least give more gameplay. Because I don't think rail fronts are the only way you could do that. I think you probably should find multiple different avenues in styles you could have without mixing up while keeping the core FGO battle system the same. Yeah. Like they demonstrate a few different mechanics here in the current one. There is legitimately an escape map. It's just so easy, it's barely noticeable in the current Trail front. Like, you can feel them playing around with how the mechanics might work in this Grail front. They just need to make it so that the maps are a little bit more complex and the gameplay is actually built around the idea that people are getting a little bit used to these. And, like, we're not re-tutorializing it every time it appears. Yes, I would gladly replace Bite for Crunch. I like the flinching. Well, actually, draws the foe close and then strikes that failed. Or replace Bite. Yeah, I'll replace Bite. It's not quite the same, but I don't really need the flinch. Killed the chasing enemy. I did that too. Like, I think there's a few parts where I agree, Tacos. I don't think Grail Front should be like... Let me put it this way. I would never make the Grail Front... Like, the Cernunnos fight. I would never make that take place in a Grail Front. I would never see it taking place in a Grail Front. I think all gameplay styles should be a little bit more context sensitive. No, I get what you're saying, Tacos. Like, they should not try to set it... Oh, I don't have dive. I can't go in there. There's something in there. I don't know what it is. They shouldn't make all the fights one gameplay style because things starts getting tedious. They need to mix it up And if they mix it up, again, it makes it so that you can have, like, multiple metas that exist beyond just farming and boss fight. It allows certain servants that may... It gives certain servants a few... like, just some extra ways for servants to be useful. Event based on the April Fool's web browser games. No, Artoria can stay. I do want to take the EXP share off the seat now. Especially because I can kind of farm with him here. So what you're saying, Doha Wario, is that one Pokemon Go parody April Fool's web browser game, they totally should be an event in FGO. Yep. Filler, I hardly know her. Thank you, Justice. Thank you, Justice. I appreciate your sense of humor. I will push back a little bit, Dakota Doyle, even though you're defending my take there. Let me see. I had a thought. Sorry. Against reference being used in the large-scale battles or scenario that with a straight-up fight. Hang on, I had a thought. I can't remember what I was saying there. I've lost my controller for some reason. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I need to fix something. Tools. We're going to save state this. Yeah, I'll save it. Okay, I need to finish this fight, so sorry guys that you get to see this in windowed mode there while you guys see my desktop. But I need to reset this because I accidentally unplugged my controller and now it's not sensing it. Technical difficulties. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I need to save. Like if it's story, will we be forced to use support servants? Will be class lock turn limits that lead to game overs? Well, they already do that in story fights, though. We do already have turn limit stuff, class locks. Well, not class locks. We haven't done a lot of class locks in story. We've definitely done turn limits and force supports. Arguably, doing a Grailfront system would... Doing a Grailfront system, we already have support servants. Like, the current Grailfront has support servants that you get control over. And you actually get control over the full party. It makes it so that you're not locked to just the support servant that appears in, like, the one support servant per party. Oh, you're right. Sorry. It does that when I full screen it. If I'm not in the side menu like this. And I don't mind if there's turn limits for game overs. It just needs to be balanced correctly. But that's something that we already have in FGO. Sometimes it's balanced correctly, sometimes it's not. It just comes down to game design. The point of it here is just not... Especially in a game where it is very railroady in terms of going through story, where there's not a lot of dialogue options. Mixing up the gameplay in ways that isn't just turn the difficulty up to 20 is important. And what Grailfront offers is a level of flexibility. And it's not the only way they could do flexibility. But I do think that's the... Like, they need to be thinking about flexibility if they want to make the game a little bit more... like, if they want to keep the game moving, so to speak. So we're not falling into just a repetitive batch of fights mixed up with long stretches of story and hoping that the story keeps people's interest longer than the fights do. Or as long as the fights aren't repetitive. Does Grailfront really have a 50 turn limit? I had no idea that there was a 50 turn limit on the Grailfront. I've never gone that high at the Grailfront. Ooh. You know, it's funny that I can run in here. It's like, I'm pretty sure you can run in caves. This is the rare room in Pokemon Emerald that counts as a cave. What's in here now? Oh shit, that's actually useful! I'm gonna hold on to that, because I'll have to decide if I want to teach that to Wailord or Gardevoir. But that's actually going to be useful. Oh god, Gardevoir... Well, if I teach Thunderbolt to Gardevoir and teach Ice Beam to Wailord, that's not a bad idea. Okay. Let me use Repel, because I need to surf up this lake port now. I've never hit a turn limit on Grailfronts. Never once in my life. No Grailfront, even the BB one, has been hard enough... Oh, a fight I didn't do. Has been hard enough to ever approach reaching a turn limit. I had no idea they were even a thing. Usually, if a Grailfront is hard, I'm just outright losing before that turn limit hits. And I've never felt the need to, like, really turtle or hammer down, like, or not hammer down, but, like, hold down before on a Grailfront that long, because there's not a lot of incentive to. This game or Costa Concordia incident? Costa Concordia incident? I don't know. I know there's a lot of references in Gen 3 to... Like, I don't know Costa Concordia off the top of my head, but yeah. I don't know enough about the Costa Concordia incident. Using moves known by the user, I'm not worried about that. I'm also... So I am going to teach Thunderbolt to... I'll teach Thunderbolt to Gardevoir. I'm not teaching Gardevoir Thunderbolt until we actually hit Winona's gym, because I still kind of want to keep Teleport around for the, just so I can actually go back. Yes, I did get exposed to the leaks, Justice. I'm trying not to talk about them in any detail on chat, though. With chat, though, because I don't know who's seen the leaks. And I don't want to... The leaks spoil the next 5 years of Pokemon, pretty much. There's some cool stuff in there. But... I ain't doing that if people don't want... If not everyone here is good with it. Sunk halfway on an Italian island 19 years ago. Huh. Yeah, we don't have a subreddit yet, Tacos. I think the community needs to get just a little bit bigger before we ever even consider a subreddit. But, Yeah, no, if you guys want to talk about it in the Discord, just be sure to put a spoiler filter on it and identify that that's what you're talking about. And I'd absolutely be up to talking about it in the spoiler channel on the Discord. Okay, so there will actually be Pokemon to catch out here. So I'm going to first repel. And I do a lot of my Pokemon catching off camera right now, just because there's so many. But there's not that many new areas I've been to. I should have already got the side quest too, so we'll see. Oh, did I not go get the key from Watson yet? Maybe I didn't. Well, that's a goof up on my part. Whatever. It's not a long route anyways. I don't really want the repel in there because because I think most of the water Pokemon on these routes are going to be the same as the ones I've already seen. It's not until I get to the big ocean past Lily Cove. Okay, here it is. Once I get past Lily Cove, that's kind of where I need to pick up, keep running into actual surfing Pokemon again. And of course, there's the diving Pokemon. That water route's gonna really suck. Have I ever told you guys that there's too much water in Pokemon Emerald? Okay, I'll take a look at that later when when we're off stream. Although I can't make any promises to how active I'll be and how much. I'll talk about it a little bit there, but because pretty much after stream, which I'm hoping to be done with stream in about 50 minutes, I'm gonna play some Pokemon ZA. Okay, there are wild Pokemon here I do want to fight, so I'm not gonna repel once this one wears off. The big goal here is to get to the end and get... I'm pretty sure it's a Thunderstone at the end. Or it's Thunderbolt. One of the two. And there's our first Pokemon. Yeah, I am not hitting you with Psychic. That is just going to kill you. I'm going to chuck a Great Ball. Time to lower the game's critical rating. Yep. Oh, it's such a dumb argument in the review. You know the worst part about it? The person who wrote that review didn't write the list of cons. That list of cons was written by someone else, but the person who wrote that review caught shit for it. Okay, I think it'll probably survive an absorb from Gecko. Ooh, that's actually gonna hurt a little bit because that's a set damage. It is one of the funniest gaming reviews of all time, though. To a ruined oil. Did it change to a ruined oil rig? I thought it was still a boat. But then again, I could be wrong. It was like when you actually break down what the complaint's talking about. It is a valid complaint. It's actually two valid complaints that get bundled into one. But it's just hilarious. Yeah, no, the pros and cons are done by someone else. Yeah. Okay, guys, I need a nickname for a ball. How about I call Voltorb lefty and call Electrode righty? There we go. Yeah, you just buy repels. You go through a lot of repels. Rash. True, explode. I can name them both after self-sacrificing servants. I'll name Voltorb after a Rash, and I'll name... I feel like there's better Pokemon for Caesar. But I like the idea of making of making them named after self-sacrificing servants like Arash, and I have my pick. There's Tut, there's a Sojiro, although I don't know if that actually might not fit. We'll do Arash for this one. Because I like the idea of the exploding Pokeball becoming one of the self-sacrificers. Who will be Gong? I mean, Gong has to be a Pokemon that knows... there's a few Pokemon that know... actually, I don't know. I have no idea what you would do for Gong. I tried to think about like what that would look like. Have I really not picked up any Paralyzed Heals? Alright, just gonna use my, like, another Cherry Berry. I feel like I'm running out of Cherry Berries. I need to do some farming soon. Yeah, I need to go do some farming. Habitrot, true! Okay. Cool. Here's the Electrode. Oh, it's another Voltorb. Yeah. I'm just running away from this one. Supposedly, Pikachu's also supposed to be in here. Oh, there's another new Pokemon, Magnemite. I wonder if I could actually hit this one with Psychic. It's not a Pikachu. I'm going to try it, see if that not very effective will defend Magnemite well. No. The answer is no. That's the problem with my Pokemon starting to get decent. I also should move Artoria out of that front slot. Let's put Gecko up front, because Gecko can run away from most things. I don't think I have any healing items right now, so I can't get that lost HP. Not unless I want to drop 50 Orb Berries, but let's not. Ultra Ball, okay. That's the entrance, isn't it? Okay. Try that again. I actually kind of agree with the water type complaint. Not necessarily compared, like there might actually be more water types in current generations than there were in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. But the concentration of the amount of water types there are compared to other types, other than maybe grass. Grass might have just as many of them in Gen 3. Water and grass were very, very overrepresented at the time, though. And as a result, like I've been doing, and the only reason I'm even saying this is because I'm currently doing some team balancing right now, trying to figure out what would be good on the team. It's just there's a few types that are a little rough to actually cover. If you're trying not to double up on types. And water type is one of the easiest ones to accidentally double up. Okay, guys, we got a Magnemite. I need some Magnemite nickname ideas. Kato. Oh, like Kato Danzo? Yeah, we could do Kato. That's a fun one we can do, especially given Seki just saw Kato Danzo and Samosa earlier today, finally. I'm not really dealing with the ocean navigation yet. That first ocean doesn't really count, let's be honest. That's more, it gets a pretty linear loop. I don't think the oceans start getting confusing until you hit Lily Cove. Or not even Lily Cove. What's the island? With the... Moss Deep? I think it's Moss Deep. Moss Deep is the first time the oceans actually start being a little bit confusing. No, not Sootopolis, because Sootopolis is the endgame. By the time you reach Sootopolis, you should know where you're going outside of maybe the Pokemon League and maybe Sky Pillar and Emerald. It's Moss Deep. When you hit Moss Deep and you go and you start going south to like the Pokemon, trying to find Sootopolis or the Seafloor Cavern or the Pokemon League, or even getting all the way down to Pacifilog Town, I believe. Even going to those, like, that's where you start running into the, man, everything is kind of confusing to navigate. Oh, thank God. You are a lifesaver. Because I at least have an Electrode to catch in here somewhere. One door's open. Now I'm pretty sure Pikachu's in here too. Problematic cats. You know, no, you're right, Dakota Doyle. Pikachu's in the Safari Zone. You're right. Safari Zone might end up being its own full-ass stream at this rate, because there's so many Pokemon to catch in there. I'm gonna be wasting so much money trying to get through it. Like, that might just be a stream, me fucking around in the Safari Zone. Let's go grab this first. There's a Thunderstone. I didn't get Thunderbolt. Where is Thunderbolt here? That Thunderbolt was here, but... Thunderbolt. Emerald. Where is it in Emerald? Before I leave here, because I'll just drop repels if I need to hunt around for it. Oh, Watson literally gives it to you. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't miss it. We can just turn this off and leave. I still haven't seen Electrode, though. Electrode's kind of the missing Pokemon, right? Let me look at new Mobiles and counter list. We have some time to kill. Because this is all I really wanted to get done today was through new Mobile. It was going to be a very, very quiet day. Yeah, I remember now Pikachu's Safari Zone. Because I part of why I confused myself because I did look at what the, like, what everything I could get in these areas were. So, yes, there is an Electrode at a 1% encounter rate and a Magneton at 1%. Woof. Okay. Oh. Let's turn this off and then we'll... Okay. Now time for the fun part. Why aren't my... You know, I actually had a speed up button on my controller and it's not working. Huh. Okay, I guess we'll do this in the... Hang on, yeah, I could just do it this way. Alt-Enter. Let's look at what my controls are. Settings. Controllers. No, shortcuts. Tools. Is it emulation? Yeah, I'm not sure. There we go. Alright, I can re-full screen this. I don't know why it wasn't working there for a minute. This is not the worst of the technical problems today. Let me tell you now. Seki had the far worse technical problems today compared to me. I had two. My controller, one specific button wasn't working despite being set correctly. And the other technical problem was I accidentally unplugged my controller, which was a really quick fix. Having to restart the game is significantly better than having to restart the stream. That has been your daily knick-knack propaganda. Oh, I did not need to do that. Why is there two 1% encounters in here? We're gonna be here for a minute, guys. Oh, is Outer Worlds 2 coming out soon? Nice. This is the part where I run into Electrode or Magneton and run away. Or accidentally kill it with Absorb somehow, even though Absorb doesn't kill anything else here. Come on. Two 1% encounters. You could do it. Magneton and Electrode. Though it would have been hilarious to say Pikachu again, just to fuck with people. Yeah, I remember people managed to bully Microsoft out of doing an $80 game, which, good job. It will be funny if I get a shiny first. If I get a shiny, we're save stating. There we go. My fast forward button's not working again. Okay, I see what the problem is. It doesn't work if I'm not actually in the game. So when the game's not frozen for you guys, I can't initiate fast forward. That was a crit. It probably would bomb. But ain't that kind of the problem with game prices right now? Developers are pretty much salivating to increase them. I don't know if you guys watch it. Scott the Wasp put out a really good video earlier. I think it was late last week or early this week on game pricing. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Hang on, I'm not redoing trying to hunt down a Magneton. Give me a minute here. We are going to save state this. Because I'm going to try hitting it the way back. Dear God! No. Yes, confuse me. If that had confused Magneton, I might have died a little inside. Hitting some psychic attacks, hitting wild Pokemon is you're trying to catch. That's a dangerous game. Alright guys, I need nicknames for Magneton, and honestly, I don't blame you for not buying games at full price. I honestly think, unless a game franchise is like one of your favorites, it's pretty stupid to buy it at full price. Like, I buy a lot of games at full price, and I don't need to buy as many games as I do at full price at full price. I don't usually get very far into them. Tesla? Okay, we'll go with Tesla. Okay, I'm gonna quickly save, although I did just lose a Pokemon. So I need to be pretty careful, actually, with when I eventually find that next one. I want to put Sieg at the front of the party, though. I'm going to put Artoria at the front of the party, because Gecko and Burb are down. I don't feel like reviving them for one Pokemon, but I'm going to have to be careful when I eventually... Okay, there we go. Now we're looking for Electrode. I don't remember what our naming scheme was for Voltorb. We had one. I forgot what it was, though. Ah, we named it after Kato Danzo. Meaning I have no idea what the next one would be. I guess I could name it after Neja. Wait, no, that was, Kato was Magnemite. What was Voltorb? Oh, that's right, Arash. So we'll name Electrode after another one of the self-sacrifice runs. I'll let y'all have some fun on which one it should be, though. Yeah, gaming boycotts never work. Or they don't ever work. It's just... The thing is, and I think this is true for a lot of consumer boycotts more often than not, it doesn't come down to how justified the boycott actually is. It comes down to... For something like a gaming boycott, where it's usually about consumer priorities, it's going to come down to how actually worth it is it. Like, Pokemon raises its price to $90 tomorrow. Trust me, it's still going to do fine. It actually will offset its losses in sales with profits, unfortunately. But then you switch over to other games, and they can't necessarily justify that. And if you're a company like Nintendo with a lot of first-party IPs releasing in the same year, and you want people to buy all of them, you often use games that maybe... Oh, Pokemon's budget. So shit, you're actually getting quite the profit for every individual game being sold. But you if you sell your games that you would think are less worth being sold at full price, like $60, so your Donkey Kong Country Returns HD at $60, for example, it feels unjust. And the game might not sell as well, but it's basically there's safety in it not selling well, because bigger games can get it, and there was such little budget put into it. Whereas if a bigger game drops and it doesn't sell well, in theory, your lower budget games hitting more profit per unit. If a lower budget game happens to sell, it funds any losses that the bigger budget game might hit, if that makes any sense. It's a weird situation in which less actually, or more actually can be more. Yeah, that's the thing, is usually most people don't even think about the boycotts. Like, my favorite online thing was when the Switch 2 sold, not shockingly, it sold really, really well. Everyone was like, or not everyone, there was a contingent of people that were like, what about the boycott? And there was another contingent of people like, there was a boycott? And I think there probably was a concentrated effort from a segment of Nintendo's user base that boycotted it. But if I had to speculate, the vast majority of the people that boycotted the Switch 2 were people that either had minimal intentions of buying it, or like if the Switch 2 was fairly priced to them, or if the games didn't have the problems they did, they probably still wouldn't have hopped on the Switch 2 very fast, if at all. Like that's kind of the problem with consumer boycotts, is it's really easy to get a bad scale on who's participating, because there's not a united consumer base for gaming. It's a little weird to explain, but I hope I'm getting that across well. It's easy to blow into proportion how much, yeah. It's easy to blow out of proportion how much support something like that has because of internet echo chambers. Not that I don't think a boycott would have been unjustified for Nintendo's price raising. That's just where things are at. I think more often not, if Nintendo had failed, it would have failed because the consumer couldn't swallow that price. Evidently, the consumer swallowed that price, so fuck us, I guess. But also, I'm part of the problem. So who knows? Who knows? The big thing you could say, and this is kind of the wider point here, don't boycott for a larger movement. You should always be individually analyzed. Like obviously there's situations you can boycott, like if there's like actual ethical problems, a boycott can be justified. But if it's a consumer-based problem, just buy or don't buy based off of your own sound economic judgment. That's the point of the market. Whether like you just have to accept you might not get to play the most shiny new thing from your preferred company, but you not buying it isn't like, you need to be the individual there. You need to shop as an individual before you start worrying about the market. Is the Switch 2 selling slower than the Switch 1? I saw the exact opposite for a long time, that it was one of the fastest selling consoles of all time. The only thing I've really seen is that there's been a lot of stock, that it might be overstocked, but there's some ways you can probably speculate that being, A, Nintendo delayed the launch of the Switch 2 so its stock could keep up a little bit better than Switch 1 did. And the other reason the stock was in there could have easily been Nintendo. A lot of these companies have writing on the wall when they know that inflation's about to get bad, and obviously when you have the president talking about tariffs, you can predict what the market might look like. Yeah, because the actual statistics behind the Switch 2 has been, it sold pretty damn well. Now, maybe the sales could have slowed down a little bit, but it was one of the fastest early sales of all time. Oh yeah, Xbox just raised its prices. That also happened. PS5 stock was abysmal. I was on the front lines and I secured at least 3 No, I secured did I secure? I know I secured Seki's PS5 and I secured my own PS5. Did I secure another? No, I tried to secure another PS5 and I never got it because they gave up and just wanted to get a Switch. So I'm pretty sure I still helped them get the OLED, though. So that was significantly easier to get. Dear God, Electrode! I've run into 3 Magnetons. You have the same encounter rate. We are gonna run into a shiny at this rate. And the worst part is, they're shinies I wouldn't use. I am gonna give the game a stroke, won't I? It just needs to give me a frickin' magneton. I think, so here's the thing. I don't think, from what I've heard, the Switch console sales have not been that bad. Because I'm pretty sure that a lot of the early sales, people that wanted a Switch got one, and then since then I haven't heard any reports of like sales being lower than expectations, for example, on on the market currently. Because we do know there was an accelerated timeline on how easy they made it for people to get consoles. That they made it a lot more readily available than more recent console launches have been. So, and every console within a year or two does become accessible in store. So it doesn't surprise me that they're in stock. What I have heard, if you want me to actually talk about what I think is currently a problem Nintendo is facing on the market, it's not Switch 2 console sales, it's third-party game sales. And this is going to become a problem for Nintendo if they try to court more third parties to develop for the system. From what I understand, the PR around game keycards has been probably the worst of, like, the worst problem the Switch is facing right now. I've heard third-party game sales, physically especially, have been particularly low. And even I feel the sentiment of why am I buying any third-party games on Switch 2? It's still weaker than where I would buy the third-party games otherwise. And a lot of the most valued third-party games are not the kind of games that are going to sell to the family user base that probably is the bulk of Switch 2 sales. Because that's kind of the secret in the pudding here. Nintendo console sales in a market where it's competing with Microsoft and Sony keep up so well because if you're a parent that doesn't want your child playing, say, M-rated games, the Nintendo console simply has more to offer you. So, or it's more obvious to offer you. The names are more well-marketed and put out there. So when you have that going on, if the child's game's not just going to be Fortnite, for example, that's where people are coming to Nintendo right now, but if you're an actual gamer and you have the option to play, say, I don't know, Call of Duty on Xbox, PC, PS5, or Nintendo, and if you're like a harder core gamer, you're probably gonna have at least one of those alongside your Nintendo console. You're not likely to pick up the game on the Switch 2, and it's not selling to the family market that's gonna make up a lot of Nintendo's game sales. So, if you're facing a consumer problem like the game keycards, it's actually going to hurt. And you're seeing third parties actually beg people to be more accepting of game keycards because it's the only way their games can actually run on the Switch 2, is either being digital or game keycard. That's probably the more interesting conundrum Nintendo's facing this generation, is its third-party conundrum. And that one I can absolutely see bleeding over into future generations being a problem. Donkey Kong was pretty good. I had not finished it yet, but Donkey Kong was real, like, gameplay mechanic-wise, it's so fun. The reason you're... Oh, shit! Guys, I almost did the thing! I just got lucky that Gardevoir doesn't have more than one attack animate, or more than one attack. Okay, I got a free Paralyze out of that, though. We're save stating, though. I almost did the thing! Justice, I hear you. I'm not a fan of game key cards, in the slightest. But it is actually kind of complicated. My opinion's gone back and forth on who's responsible for the problem. Right now, I'm actually pretty firmly holding Nintendo's feet to the fire here. There are some companies that are absolutely greedy, like not every game needs the game key card to function. And not every game needs the giant ass size of the game of the physical card, because Nintendo's only offering one size for the physical card. But there are games, especially when you're talking about getting AAA big releases released on Switch, that do struggle to process on Switch with the read and write speeds of the current game cartridges on Switch. Nintendo probably shot themselves in the foot with the cartridges in some way, and the fact that that they haven't found good workarounds for it is a bit of a problem. Just a bit. I don't really have anything that can do damage to this thing. I'm gonna chuck a Great Ball and hope it catches. Yeah, like, Puyo Puyo Tetris is not game keycard worthy. Like, if we're talking big AAA games, and the dev wants to maintain the graphical, like, more of a graphical quality, that's one thing. But then again, Cyberpunk 2077 was not on a game keycard, and they made it work. So, to my understanding, it just depends on the dev's game engine. And obviously, yes, there's a level of it which is greedy company. So if you're a greedy company, you're not redeveloping your engine from scratch to be compatible graphically on the Switch without the game keycard, without having to be processed on the console itself. But at the same time, the alternative is that game doesn't come out on Switch, because the company was never going to do that. It was either coming out digitally or game keycard only, or it wasn't coming out at all. So, obviously the company I'm talking about here is EA, because it's always EA when you're talking greedy companies that have an excuse. But, No. There are conundrums with the game keycards right now that I understand a little bit on a third-party developer level. At the same time, I do think there are ways Nintendo could have mitigated that problem a bit, and they haven't done so, or they didn't bother trying to do so. Nintendo games also aren't running the same... Like, Nintendo's not trying to use the same the companies I think are having issues right now are EA big AAA games, which who cares about EA games, I guess. But and then very clearly Squeenix is having issues. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake might be having issues running on cartridges. There's probably a reason why the Kingdom Hearts remasters didn't come to Switch, because you'll notice none of the Squeenix games came to base Switch last generation. None of like the big AAA releases cross-ported to Switch, and that as far and this goes pretty far back, and that kind of tells me engine-wise there might be incompatibilities. I don't want to do Changong, because Changong is about sacrificing others. So, I think a lot of what's going on here is just carryover. Nintendo obviously develops on the Switch ecosystem, so their engines are probably optimized to work with the cards. But then again, maybe not so much. Like, obviously, if you want a good example of like where an engine makes a difference, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for the Switch were very clearly not that graphically intense. But the engine that Pokemon is using is so inefficient on the fucking Switch, the games just don't run very well. And they had to basically rework the engine from scratch to make it work on the Switch too. I have a feeling you're seeing that problem a little bit with third parties on certain engines. We've already done our Ash Clipper. So, like right now, there's, if you guys remind me, there's the new, for the self-sacrifice, there's the new Avenger Servant in JP, there's Sojiro, and then there's Tut. Oh, and Nobukatsu. Ungra. I've already gotten Ungra, unfortunately. We could do Nobukatsu. I'm not against Nobukatsu. I'll start typing Nobukatsu unless someone wants to veto. I'm pretty sure I named him Magikarp Ungra. That was one of the ones I caught off screen, though. All right, I think I'm gonna go Nobukatsu here, guys. We're gonna go with Nobukatsu. All right, now I can leave. That like shot up my playtime. That's like triple speed. I'm pretty sure it shot me up by a solid hour. I am at 32 hours played. I have not played this game for 32 hours. I'm probably sitting somewhere closer to around 20. If that, probably more like 15. 32 hours on a more straightforward playthrough is like game completion. But I've actually made efforts to catch most of the available Pokemon. Okay, there's that handy new escape rope I just got. And that's all we've got for going through the game today. That's pretty much where I wanted to be. I can't think of any other side content I wanted to get. No, we only have 10 minutes. There's not that much time. I'll do that off screen. Especially because I don't think I have that much to do off screen. I'll look at the surf routes to see if there's any encounters I missed. Because maybe there's like an encounter or two I missed on some of the surf routes. But... oh yeah, I need to get Thunderbolt. I'm not teaching Thunderbolt to Gardevoir until I hit Winona's gym. I don't want to do it on the routes to Winona's gym because it's going to be a little too... It's not going to be fun getting all the way out there without teleport. Take me back to the center. Because it's a large route. And going back and forth from the center as needed, it's just going to suck if I go all the way out there and have to keep running back and forth next time. Okay. So next time, we are out here and we go to Winona. My plans for next time, and tell me if this sounds like a bad idea, next time we're going to do the water route, we're going to do Winona. And this is a pretty long route. I actually expect that to be a pretty full stream in itself. But the plan for the time after that, and this is the week of Halloween, we're going to do Mount Pyre on Halloween. That's my plan. If I have extra time next time, I'll do Safari Zone stuff. But my plan for the week of Halloween is we're doing Mount Pyre. I think that felt right to do Mount Pyre that week. It'll be probably Mount Pyre and the Magma Base that week. I can maybe see about hitting Moss Deep if I run a little longer that week, but I have a feeling next week will be Winona through maybe the Safari Zone. And then the following week will be Mount Pyre through maybe Moss Deep. And I'm actually going to dress... so, it's still coming in the mail, but I got Jack a crypto costume, so I'll put him in that, and I'll wear I've actually got a Superman outfit as well, so... next week, or next time when I do the Halloween stream, I'll do full costume. It won't be on Halloween, it'll be that week, earlier in that week, because I have stuff going on that Halloween. Including family to visit, actually. But, yeah, that's the plan. So... let me shift this over to a chatting screen. I can save. I think I saved already. I'm going to save again. And then close out of this. Save. We're going to a chatting screen for a bit. Because I've got 7 minutes to kill. So... if I... the big thing... big things to talk about. So the end of this week, there will be another Seki Reacts, if memory. Yes, there is a Seki Reacts this week. Just getting a head on that one. But other than this week's Seki Reacts, on going into next week, let me give you a preview of next week's videos. What's going up next week? What's going up next week? I know one thing that's going up next week. So Agartha just went up today, by the way. So if you guys didn't watch it, the Agartha Off the Shelf just came out. That's a pretty fun one because you guys didn't see Agartha on stream with Seki being read. So Seki's thoughts are going to be largely new to you if you haven't seen it already. That's a fun one to watch. I'm surprised it came out. Yeah, it came out today. The end of this week's going to be Seki Reacts. And then, yeah. So next week, we're leading up. So We actually finished solo leveling finally for Off the Shelf. Next week, the first video to go up should be a. Actually, my video is not included in that list for some reason. Next week, the first video to go up is going to be my my Fate Stay Night review. The Fate route is going up next week on the. Oh, I need to talk with Seki about moving that. I scheduled my Fate review to go up the same day as solo leveling. I'll ask her if she wants to put solo leveling up a little bit later that week. But yeah, she's supposed to put solo leveling's finale up. And then there's a huge Seki reacts. Like, let me put it this way, y'all. There was a servant in the chat, or that in the Discord, that Seki was talking about, like, basically like losing her mind over that she couldn't spoil for you guys. That's next week. Next week, like if you want to see Seki, like Seki like really find like one of her new favorites that she's going to be aiming for a minute. That's next week's reacts. Not this week's coming up, but next week's. So yeah. No, it's not Ptolemy. I'll give you that right now. It's not Ptolemy. Seki is not spoiled for Ptolemy yet. Ptolemy was originally, actually, we were considering streaming it this last Sunday, or because we wanted to have Seki able to read Day Night Castle. That's just not happening, though, because Seki would have needed to have played through Anastasia, which she wasn't that far in, so we just can't do it, which sucks. I did want Seki to try at least one Grail front before the event type disappears for at least 2 years. That's whatever. So no, Ptolemy's not being done. Ptolemy is on the schedule for early next year. I'll give you guys that one. I think we might have even leaked when it'll actually come up in a stream a while back if you guys really want to go back. But it's a big one. It's also one that you guys probably didn't expect to see this soon, I think. We've actually got a few really cool servants coming up that really are up Seki's alley. Yeah, no, there's quite a few servants that we've recorded so far at Seki's really, really clicked with. No, it's not Darius. I talked about it in Seki's stream today. Darius is one of those very few servants where Seki is spoiled to the point where the video is almost not worth doing. I have half a mind to talk to Seki about just merging it into the Ptolemy video. Because she knows Darius. She's seen the design. There's not much more to Darius. It's not good. Who did you think the Grand Assassin was going to be, Justice? You think it would be going to be... Because I can see you talking about it being two things, either straight King Hassan or Gensei. And I can see why either of those would be kind of disappointing to you, Justice. Because Gensei feels like it's getting formulaic with the new servant. Here, they're a grand servant. And King Hassan just feels too obvious. I can see how either one of those could be its own thing. The Tomoe video will be interesting. I told Seki not to worry too much if she gets spoiled and doesn't forget the... Tomoe is one of those servants that has a lot around her. Like, we have the summer version. We have... I forget his name, but the saber from the rogue saber from Samurai Remnant. There's plenty we could do with Tomoe Gozen, so I'm not worried if Seki gets spoiled for Tomoe. And there's a lot of lore to Tomoe Gozen too that isn't necessarily recorded in history that Fate creates. You thought they'd do Kama. Interesting. Kama was one I thought they could do. I didn't necessarily... I for a while there was a Gensei truther. I was like, they're gonna do Gensei because look how much effort they put into this damn animation. And then Gensei ended up, like, I read some of like what Gensei's lore was at the end of Guda Guda, and I was like, oh no, Gensei is not the Grand. It's gonna be what you think it is, but I don't really know what you think it is, Tacos. There's a lot of stuff when I'm doing these videos where some of it comes up mid working on the script for them. Like, let's put it this way. I'm working on a servant right now that I thought would be a pretty easy open and shut script. Oh, Azrael. Yeah. I could talk about what the plan is for Azrael, because I've been thinking about that myself. Right now, as I'll say this, Azrael is probably not going in updates for the same reason that I don't really plan to put Metatron in updates. There's a lot to talk about lore-wise with FGO with what's going on there, so I don't... It's not like a summer servant where it's easy to pop in, or even most alts. And there's enough to talk about, like, in terms of the historical mythical figure for the two of them, that it gives Seki a good chunk to talk about. So, if nothing else, because we're desperate to have as many videos as we can, Azrael's probably going to be his own video. And it also, holding it off on it from updates gives me time to see if they release the servant as playable eventually. Like an overall grand video, I could say now that's not, we're not doing overall video for all of the grands. I could see the appeal of doing that, but you're going to see some of the grands and updates. Like, we're going to be doing a grand for Grand Musashi, or an updates Grand Musashi. Updates is going to have the Heracles grand. And, like, when Indra is just going to be on the schedule per normal. Nemo and Noah will be done together as one video, but Noah will be done separately. All of the grands are going to be put where they make sense. There's just a couple, like, just Azrael here is like an odd gray area because of some of his deeper lore that for me, it's not worth putting him in updates. In fact, I'm kind of got half a mind to hold off and see if they put any extra lore into him over time, because I have a sneaking suspicion they might put lore into him over time. Wouldn't surprise me. Like, I know I haven't looked at the silhouettes to see if they match it up. It would not surprise me to see that Azrael was originally going to be included in an event story and was cut for time. Samurai Remnant Musashi was in the original Musashi video, I'm pretty sure. If she wasn't, she was included in updates. I'm pretty sure Samurai Remnant was out by the time we did the original Musashi video. Because I think we did Iori and Samurai Remnant there too. What we didn't do in the Musashi video was we didn't do FGO Iori, who we had to do it, who actually stuck into Takeru's video. We did see Nefertari in the Aussie video. In fact, there was an embarrassing moment involving Nefertari and my confusion of historical figures. So don't go back and watch that, please. Please save me that. Save me the embarrassment. Okay. Any last things I want to bring up here? Yeah, tacos. No, I don't mean Nefertiti. Thank you very much. I don't mean Nefertiti. Thank you very much, tacos. Any last things I wanted to talk about here while I had you guys around? I could talk about the Fate review a little bit more. It's out. So I brought it up a second ago. Yes, it is out, and I have set it to premiere on the 20th. I need to talk to Seki about moving solo leveling back later in the week. But on the 20th, you guys are getting your Fate route. That video is going to include the introductory segment that go at the beginning of the longer video. So it's supposed to be introducing the full video. It's only introducing this video. It's introducing the Fate Stay Night review as a whole, but we're only covering through the Fate route here. It's going to include the prologue with Rin, which will get its own separate section, even though it's short. And then the bulk of the video is going to be the Fate review and its analysis, or the Fate, like going over the Fate route and its analysis. I actually put a little bit more into this video than I put into the previous review and analyses, just ahead of time, because I should have credited him in the video. I'll credit him in the full video for sure. But I got a lot of help from Vorn on a specific segment in that video. In the Heavens Feel video, I got a lot of help from getting a lot of help from Seki when we do that eventually, but that's for later. So yeah. Nothing is bundled in specifically. It's just the prologue and the introductory segment, like the introducing the video. All the videos are going to have a little introductory segment. Most of them are going to be gags, though. The actual videos themselves, it'll make more sense. It's still made to be one video. Like, this is meant to be one video. But I've got good cutoff points and good introductory segments in the other routes. And anything tacked onto the other routes comes after the main route. The Fate route is the only one that's the end of the video. So I've talked about it in last stream a little bit. The Unlimited Blade Works video is going to have an additional segment that includes Unlimited Dean Works. I've actually watched it and already written my review for it. I just have to record all that now. And when that's edited, it'll be edited together and released in the main video. Heaven's Feel is going to include last episode, and the overall analysis will also be in the Heaven's Feel video. So expect that one to be the longest video. Because Heaven's Feel alone is the longest segment. The overall analysis is going to be in there as well, which is probably the second longest segment, if not, or it's longer. It's pretty decently long. So there's just some meaty segments of the Heaven's Feel video, so expect that to be the longest of the parts. And then in January, ideally, we'll be dropping a compiled version of the video that includes new segments as well, sort of matching the Unlimited Dean Works. I'm going to be doing segments on the other anime adaptations as well, sort of a capturing Fate both in the visual novel form and the anime form. Just quick thoughts on the individual versions, which is funny because the Fate route actually talks a lot about the Fate, the Dean adaptation of the Fate Stay Night. That's going to be more of a compiled segment when it eventually gets included. I'm going to talk about Unlimited Budget Works, the Ufotable adaptation, a little bit, though I don't expect that to be as meaty as the Dean Works since we've gone over it pretty ad nauseum. I don't feel like I have a lot to say on it. And then Heaven's Feel, I'm probably going to have a lot to say on. I just don't know. That'll probably go before Last Story when it gets edited in, which will be the only one that gets edited in the middle of what would have been the original video, which that's probably the more fascinating, difficult part to do, is editing in a new segment into the middle of the video. UBW, yeah, no talkers, you're pretty on the mark there, actually. I'll spoil this for you now. I preferred the Fate route to UBW, but I had a lot, and you guys aren't going to get to see UBW in the coming video that got released, or it's getting released, that's premiere on the 20th. But I probably had a lot more to say characterization-wise for UBW, whereas I probably had a lot more to say thematically for Fate, although I had plenty to say thematically on UBW as well. UBW and Fate, they're in some ways they're too similar. In some ways they're different enough to where there's a lot to unpack with UBW, especially because I think Rin's role in UBW is often underrated in my opinion. Like very often I've seen people joke that UBW is the Archer or the Shiro route. When no, Rin's characterization is pretty well focused on the UBW route. And it's very important going into Heaven's Feel. But that's its own thing to unpack there. And yeah, Heaven's Feel is going to be hell. Heaven's Feel was hell to write. It was hell to note down for. It took the longest. It was the most draining to finish. It was great, but it was so dense thematically, character-wise. Everything in Heaven's Feel is so dense. It's also going to be probably... So, I'll give you a little fun heads up right now. I'm pretty gonna for the Fate route and the UBW route, there's gonna be a lot of points where I'm being very tongue-in-cheek about what I wrote and about the review itself. I'm a lot less tongue-in-cheek about Heaven's Feel. A little bit tongue-in-cheek, but there's a lot more. I maintain seriousness more throughout Heaven's Feel, and to save myself some trouble, I would have probably saved for the analysis segment in Heaven's Feel in the actual talking about the events in the route segments, the going over the routes and unpacking the routes itself. There's a reason why I've effectively asked Seki to write a few parts for me in Heaven's Feel. At this point, it's up to 3 parts I'm having her write for me and do parts on. I need to talk to her about that, but she has till December, so we have plenty of time. But yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I can't. Nihiro than Rin in hindsight. That is kind of true. At the same time, Rin. A lot of the events in UBW, when you actually break down thematically what's going on, not with Shiro and Archer per se, but especially in the front half, and up through, I would say, until Archer kidnaps Rin. a lot of that is very, very thematically. Like, there's a lot going on with Rin thematically there. I see what Nasu was doing with Rin there. I do understand where the other perspective comes from, though, because especially in the back half, Rin doesn't necessarily contribute a lot to the Shiro Archer stuff because she's removed from the picture for a while that's going on. And Shiro vs. Gilgamesh is its own thing going on. You don't... Rin gets a payoff and has an arc on UBW is what I'm saying. She has a much more in-depth character arc than the other side characters like Saber and Sakura for sure in Rin's route. And Shiro and Archer's arcs tied into both Shiro and Rin, by the way. But Shiro's arc often moves forward when Rin's is not. But Rin's arc is actually still pretty weaved well in and out of the route. And I'm saying that as someone who particularly thought I'm putting it out there. I preferred reading the Fate route to the UBW route, and I'm not that kind with the UBW route pacing wise, but I do. There's a lot done in the UBW I do have respect for about, especially with how they handled Rin's character there. None of us would do. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Legend ZA is released in the States at this point. It probably released 10 minutes ago. I need to take my dog out for a walk. I'm going to get going. I only have so much time this week to actually play that game, so I want to get as much of it in as I can. I hope you all have a good one. I will see you next week, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for Seki and Vorn going through Baldur's Gate 3. They're doing another part of that tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. All right. See you guys around.